both political parties are already politicizing this disaster relief. Joining me now from our bureau in New York City, attorney, Republican strategist, and Trump campaign surrogate, ERIN ELMORE. ERIN, I find it shameful indeed when you have, and I'm not talking Democrats here, I'm talking Republicans like Congressman Steve King attacking Ted Cruz over his no vote on this Sandy aid package, which was replete with pork. And now Steve King and the Democrats, he sounds like a Democrat, they're holding this aid package politically over Ted Cruz's head like the sword of Damocles.
You're absolutely right, Graham, and it's sickening. And I think Ted Cruz has handled this with such class. He said, I'm not going to engage in this. This is not the time to be political. And he's absolutely right. We're in the middle of a national crisis. This doesn't just have implications on Texas and Louisiana. Because of that pipeline that extends all the way up into the Northeast, the Colonial Pipeline, we could all be impacted in this region. So truly, for them to be politicizing this, it's sickening and it's improper, without a doubt.
Now, I would say this, that if a package like the Sandy package reaches the desk of Donald Trump, I hope that he would veto it and then explain to the American people why. Because the American people don't necessarily understand this whole notion of pork. And so if they do it again, this president has every right to take his veto pen out and say, hey, send me a clean relief package.
Well, hopefully they can do so quickly, and hopefully that our government now is aware that Mr. Trump and President Trump now is not around to make decisions that aren't based on good fiscal policy. Yeah. So what he wants to do is exactly redline these bills and make sure they aren't laden with pork, because that's not the way to get anything accomplished. We had great GDP results today, up 3%. Right. We want to continue that growth in the United States. We don't need to have more pork. We don't need unnecessary spending. We don't need a ginormous, huge government. We need things to be clean and tight and helping the American people, because we all know now that President Trump says it's all about America first. And that's what we have to do, is put the American people first, not political interest and bloating these bills just to get special interests accomplished.
But of course, he has to navigate the mainstream media, who is hoping and praying for a Katrina moment for this president. Unfortunately, they're writing the scripts right now, going into shelters and saying, oh, look at these poor people and the president's not helping them. It's all hogwash. We know that. But then you read a headline from NPR, National Public Radio, that says this: can Trump show a nation he cares? First of all, why am I even paying for NPR anymore? I don't know. They should have been defunded a long time ago. And where were they, what was it, 3 years ago, when Barack Obama announced the beheading of an American? His name was James Foley, and then seconds later puts on his golf cap and runs and plays 18.
I couldn't agree with you more. Another thing, President Trump cannot win. He was in Texas 2 days into this hurricane, and they criticized him. You went too soon. Well, if he didn't go in 2 days, they say he wouldn't go soon enough. Chris Christie made an excellent point, New Jersey Governor Chris Christie. He said when Sandy hit the northeast of the United States, President Obama was there within 2 days. Trump was here within 2 days. So Democrats, you need to relax. This is equal. They both did the same thing. So President Trump should not be criticized on the timeliness of his visit. Moreover, he stayed away from Houston, which was at the time the crux of the storm, so that you know, state, local, and federal resources weren't diverted away from helping Americans and those that were injured through Hurricane Harvey, but instead diverted to him and getting into the city. So he said, I'll see you guys on Saturday. He did everything right and by the book, handled his speech well, handled the government well. I don't see why there should be any criticism on this whatsoever.
Yeah, I think the president handled it very adroitly so far, and it looks as though he's going to make a return engagement somewhere in Texas later this week, and he should, because it's not just a symbolic gesture. I think the American people would like to see the President of the United States on scene and let folks know that he's in command. And that brings us to...
How about this, Graham?
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. How about that they were, you know, the mainstream media was criticizing Melania for leaving Washington, D.C. and wearing high heels, and then the fact that she had a baseball hat on in Texas, they were criticizing that too. She's the First Lady of the United States, and we're really spending time on national cable news networks talking about her attire.
Well, let's not. So let's talk about this instead. How about Houston being a sanctuary city? So you have the mayor of Houston with one hand out saying heck no to the United States Constitution, a thumbs down to the Constitution. The other hand, thumbs up, yeah, federal funds, federal help, we need it now. It's absolutely disgusting, but indeed, unfortunately, we're seeing it unfold before our eyes. But we're also seeing something else from the president right now, and his campaign for tax reform. And I think this is important as well, because he's sending a message to the American people. Yes, we have a disaster going on, but we can walk and chew gum at the same time. We need to move forward and give American people the tax relief that we need so, again, the economy can be goosed even more.
You know, I think he did the right thing here. And by the way, tax reform is tied to Hurricane Harvey relief. If we can get a tax policy in place by the first of the year, extra money can be freed up so it can go to those people in need. Also, I think his speech today was really spot on and really excellent. He was completely bipartisan, and I quote, he said, "I do not want to be disappointed by Congress. The United States is counting on it." Those words really resonated with me because he's saying, Democrats, Republicans, all of you, this affects every American. We are putting America first here. Yep. And I think that message is really going to resonate with Democrats and Republicans alike. I was on a conference call with the White House yesterday, and there was a few statistics that kind of stood out to me why we do need tax reform. 94% of American people either hire a professional or use software to get their taxes done. That's a ridiculous number. Moreover, 6 billion hours a year. Americans spend 6 billion hours a year trying to comply with the tax code. I mean, that's absolutely astonishing.
It is.
And it needs to change, and it needs to change fast.
Tell the White House, give them this message with the next conference call, if they let you speak. Hey, just remind people of the 1980s and Ronald Reagan and what he did, because history speaks for itself. When Ronald Reagan lowered the marginal tax rates, very similar to what Donald Trump is trying to do, the economy went nuts. So we need to remind the American people, as we do on this program, ad nauseum, that this does indeed work. And I would say one more thing, that I think Mitch McConnell needs to get out of the way of this portion of the Trump agenda and all of the Trump agenda and remove the filibuster and all elements to it, and get the Trump agenda through the Congress on behalf of the American people. Erin, thank you.